So it's August 2018, and the Han Solo movie came out, and I didn't see it. Just didn't have the time, but I don't know. I just didn't see it. I saw Last Jedi and thought it was good, and didn't find the time to see the Han Solo movie. Maybe it was because it didn't come out in the winter time, and that tends to be an easier time for me to see movies because my family's in town. And I don't know. It takes a lot for me to go to the movie theater, apparently, because of various reasons. And apparently that was the same for the rest of America. The Han Solo came out, and it maybe didn't make money. It made money over its production budget, but maybe it didn't make enough money to cover all the other stuff associated with the costs of a movie. Now, on top of that, we are at the point in time where people are petitioning Disney, I guess, to remake Last Jedi, the movie that just came out in December. That was fine. It was a good movie. It was fine. Like, they're trying to remake a movie that doesn't need to. What is going on? Are we in the middle of a Star Wars backlash? You've got people talking about how this executive producer is ruining Star Wars, or this director is ruining Star Wars, or this movie is ruining Star Wars. And I thought to myself, why is now I haven't seen Han Solo, right? But I haven't seen a lot of movies, so I'm gonna just talk about this idea of why somehow it is okay. It is apparently too many Star Wars movies, one every 6 months for the American culture to handle, whereas you make, God, I don't know. It seems like 2 or 3 times a year there's a new Marvel movie, and people are just like, "Yay, another one of these! Oh my God, just in time! Another superhero movie! Will this ragtag team of a variety of superheroes manage to get along well enough to defeat the bad guy in the end, unless there's a second movie coming out that they need to link to make more money?" The answer is yes. That's exactly what happens. Every single Marvel movie ever. I'm not a Marvel movie fan, right? There's a big reason why. I don't care about most of these Marvel characters. Like, I grew up on the DC animated universe, so I'm invested in things like Batman and sometimes Superman and the Justice League, and I also like Spider-Man and X-Men, but I do not give a crap about the Avengers. I just don't. Like, all of these characters I have no attachment to. I've seen maybe like two Marvel Universe movies. One of them was the first Captain America at my in-laws' house, and it was fine and a piece of fluff that I will never think about or want to watch ever again. And Guardians of the Galaxy I saw because I thought it was going to be Marvel but weird, and it was not. It was weird characters doing the exact same Marvel plot I've heard about a bajillion times. Will these characters come together? Yes, they will. End of story. Um, Now, I asked somebody who was a fan of Star Wars and Marvel why America, or at least the nerd culture, has a appetite for the 30th Marvel movie the past 10 years and not the fourth Star Wars movie. And she said, well, it's because Marvel movies are good. And I was like, that's subjective. That doesn't make that can't count as being an argument for why people are okay with I don't know, Ant-Man 2 and not Star Wars Han Solo movie. And I thought of some ideas. So here's some theories. One, Star Wars is part of our like cherished childhood nostalgia, right? So when I see Luke Skywalker in 20 17 being complex, emotionally conflicted Luke Skywalker, that doesn't look to me, the theoretical me, like 1977 happy boyhood Luke Skywalker, right? He's different, and I can either handle that or I can't. And obviously, some people cannot handle that. On the flip side, you can't ruin Ant-Man as a movie because Ant-Man has never been a movie. Most of these Marvel characters, if they have had movies in the past, they've been awful things that no one ever wants to remember ever again. Like, say, the random Fantastic Four movie that you only know about because all our reviewers talked about it and how crappy it was. I'm not even talking about the crappy recent ones. I'm just proving a point that a lot of these Marvel characters have nothing to compare to cinematically outside of Spider-Man and X-Men. I'm talking about the Avengers characters. So I think that is a big deal. Like, there's no nostalgia for, I don't know, Thor outside of comics. I think another big thing might be that it's the genre, right? Star Wars is science fiction. And at its core, science fiction is generally taken more seriously than superhero movies. Superhero movies are supposed to be like popcorn, fluff, happy time, the bad guy loses in the end, the heroes say funny quips sort of thing. That's the only, in action sequences, that's the only thing people really expect out of traditional superhero movies. Star Wars movie, or science fiction movies in general, have to be this thing that makes sense within its own universe, technology-wise and mythos-wise, and like there's a, like Star Wars is like a 40-something year storyline that has to make sense across 100 years, and depending on which part of the story, even 1,000 years. Like, there's a lot of things that are very serious about a Star Wars movie. You have expectations about it and what it's supposed to be and where it's supposed to go, and what notes it's supposed to hit, and its balance between seriousness and comedy and nostalgia and all these other things. Where a superhero movie, most people's expectations are, I hope someone says something funny and the gray bad guy gets killed in the end. There's just not as much at stake, I guess, in a Marvel movie. My third theory for why people like Marvel movies and can tolerate them way more than Star Wars movies is kind of on the same idea of people just want to have fun and not think about something for 2 hours and leave the theater and never necessarily think about it again. One of the most popular TV shows of recent times, and really most of them, are mindless comedies in a way, or mindless reality shows. Like, people want to disengage from their regular life and relax for a couple hours and think about stuff. It's the Big Bang Theory in movie form, right? Like, the Big Bang Theory appeals to people for whatever reason. I don't get it. I guess it's the same way about Marvel movies. It's lighthearted, it's fun, it's whatever. And that's what they go with. People are like, DC is too dark and serious, and Marvel is not. They're happy and non-serious. And I'm like, if that's what you're into, I guess. When I think about superhero movies, I'm not as interested in the consequence-free superhero movie. I'm more interested in things like, hey, this Superman destroyed a bunch of buildings and killed a bunch of people, and here's the after effects of that in the Justice League movie. That's more interesting to me than necessarily anything Marvel could do. But Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm sure all the comments in this will be mean and nasty, but let me know what you think. Why, despite throwing out the quality of the movies, because that is a complete subjective and creative and opinionated thing, why are people way more tolerant of a heavy, frequent release schedule for Marvel movies as opposed to Star Wars movies that dared to try to do 2 in 1 year and just got slapped for it? Let me know what your theories are. Here's a cat.